Hi everybody, welcome to Simply Scuba, welcome to the Daily Deco. It is Monday, it's the best day of the week for some people.
No, just no.
As far as changes to the Simply Scuba website, we've actually updated the homepage, so it's a bit snazzier. So if you haven't seen it in a little while, head on over. Again, it's not 100%. We are sort of still tinkering and sort of making it better, but it's had a little cosmetic facelift, shall we say.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely sort of head on over.
I got there's a sweet treat for you guys. If you look at the new banner, there's a little GIF. And the bolt snap that's on there, I picked it. That's right, I picked a bolt snap.
Yeah, that was Sean's contribution.
Yeah. Bolt snap. You're welcome, guys.
Anyway, jumping into the news. So the first news story. So this first broke, was it Wednesday last week?
Something like that, yeah.
And this was a video that emerged on social media. A scuba diver diving in Florida came across a manatee, which isn't unusual. They have quite a few sort of manatees around in their waters, but unfortunately when they got closer to it, they found out that someone had literally scrawled the letters Trump into the manatee's back, which is just awful. Just objectively scrawling anything into a wild animal, but the fact that it was Trump is just sort of another level sort of on top of that. And so I read an article about and they were interviewing a sort of a marine biologist, and they said that sort of is the manatee going to be okay? Has it done any sort of permanent damage? And they said from what they've seen on the video, obviously they haven't sort of found the manatee to actually sort of check it. They say it should be okay. It just seems that they sort of scraped the algae off the manatee's back, which the manatees sort of naturally do anyway by kind of turning turtle on the bottom and kind of scraping it off. But whoever's done it has just done it. They couldn't quite figure out what they used. When they first saw it, they thought it might have been like a credit card or something to try and like scrape it off. But they say that this would have taken quite some time and probably more than one person as well. So yeah, it's Florida living up to their reputation, and but it's actually a felony. And if they are caught, obviously the authorities, they are sort of looking out for them, and quite a few separate places from CNN, they have a reward of like $5,000, or maybe I can't remember. A few $1,000s to for sort of any kind of sort of clues or hints or sort of links on sort of who might have done it. And the former wrestler and now sort of Hollywood movie star Dave Bautista, he went on Twitter on Thursday or Friday, outraged over this, and he basically sort of offered a $20,000 reward for any information on who could have done this, because chances are if it was more than one person, then they've been like bragging to their friends, and $20,000 go. Good way to sort of looking after someone. So yeah, that might be quite tempting, although I can't remember what he said in his tweets. Dave Bautista basically said, yeah, I'm offering sort of $20,000 and I promise there will be bonuses to that reward as well. So I don't really know what he means by bonuses.
You get to get the 20 grand, but you give it to charity. So he gives it to you to give to charity, or he beats you up.
I lost a tooth from Dave Bautista. Yeah.
Exactly. It's good. You got some credit. No, you do a pretend fight, but you beat him up.
Oh, that would be fun.
So I beat up Dave Bautista. Also, yeah, Dave, if you're watching, I know you're a Daily Deco follower, viewer. It was Mark. Mark did it, so I have the 20 grand. Don't look into it.
$20,000.
$20,000.
You have to collect it in person, though.
Yeah, I do that.
Actually, So manatees are actually protected under US laws. They're a protected species. And there's actually, as I sort of mentioned, there's anyone found guilty of harassing them, just in general, can face up to a year in prison and a $50,000 fine, which is about £37,000. So, it is pretty serious. Not just like morally, but legally. Sort of interacting with these things. The Center for Biological Diversity, a conservation charity, is also offering a $5,000 sort of dollar reward for any information leading towards the conviction of who's responsible.
Wow.
Whoever it was is like public enemy number one at the moment. You could
earn yourself a nice bit of wonga then, couldn't you? If you submit a person name, you can get a fair amount of dollar bill.
Yeah. If you did manage to sort of play like them all and sort of go for all of the rewards,
Yeah, I don't get why people do this.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, what was it? Were they just kind of on a boat, like drinking, and they saw a manatee, and you're like, oh, what would be fun is if we scrape Donald Trump's name into the back of that manatee.
Everything's all hyped up at the moment over there, isn't it? So it wouldn't surprise me if there were a few angry people.
Yeah, I think this week is really going to start like ramping up. It's going to get a bit heated sort of over there because it's the peaceful transfer of power.
Yeah. Peace. To our American viewers out there, I hope you're all doing all right.
Yes, obviously, and if you have heard anything, then of course, sort of let somebody know because it's not cool, and whoever did it does need to sort of get some kind of sort of punishment, so they never do it again or never even think about doing it again. Onto some slightly nicer news. This one comes from Cornwall in the UK, and this is a brewery called the Driftwood Spas in St Angs, Agns, Angs, Cornwall. They are. They've announced that they're going to be raising money for a ghost gear charity called Fathoms Free. Now, Fathoms Free have been sort of surveying and collecting ghost gear and sort of marine debris for a while now, and because they featured in a BBC documentary, I forget what it was called, but they it was like Cornwall with. Whatever the presenter's name was, they actually did a small segment on these divers collecting ghost gear and sort of removing it from the water. Because the Cornish brewery saw this, they were so inspired because I think the head honcho, he was a surfer. There's some quite good surfing around Cornwall, and he was like, oh, actually no, I'm quite sort of passionate about this. Decided that. They have a new range of sort of beers coming out called Cove, and basically a certain percentage of all the sort of money raised by sort of selling this beer is going to go directly to Fathoms Free, awesome. Which is cool.
That is
Fathoms
cool.
Free. Yeah, they basically say that every purchase of the small batch sort of craft beers will help generate funds to purchase a remotely operated sea robot and fund retrieval dives. So they reckon that every sort of batch that they produce. Sort of when that sells, that's enough money for a complete excursion, so it'll sort of pay for that, which is great. Cool. But then sort of excess is going to go towards literally buying an ROV so that they can survey the sea floor that much easier. They don't have to send divers in just to sort of scour the whole area. They can just put the robot in. The robot can kind of survey the area. It's also recording video, which is better for sort of propaganda videos to sort of show people, right, well, this was recorded just off your coast. We need to be a bit more sort of passionate about ghost gear and all that kind of stuff. And you can send the robot in to do as much of the surveying as possible, and then you can send the divers in. So it's cool. It's
cool.
Yeah, I had a quick look at their website. They've got a few different sort of flavors. So yeah, I might sort of invest in some because they do deliver by the looks of it. Yeah. The Fathoms Free said, apart from helping us locate ghost gear underwater, the ROV will also be capable of recording underwater video, which is always great for raising awareness about marine pollution issues. We are really excited to be partnering with the Driftwood Spas Brewery and appreciate the proactive support of Mike, the head honcho surfer guy, and his team in bringing the purchase of an ROV a step closer to reality.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'll link the charity whatever down below, so then if you want to read more about them or, you know, maybe donate something, I'm sure they've got a donation button on their website or something like that. Yeah,
they got a shop. They turn a lot of the gear that they find and like plastic bottle caps, they turn it into like Christmas cards and stuff like that.
Cool.
So it's sort of reusing the stuff and
cool.
That's it.
Awesome.
We didn't mention today's sponsor. Well, not quite sponsored, but like key product. You should have interrupted. You're usually so good at that, Sean.
I'm a new man. Now I've got a new backdrop.
Now you've got a new backdrop. I know. We haven't even mentioned the elephant in the room.
I think my camera's reverted back to being flipped because everything behind me is now backwards. So I've got to look into that next time. Yeah, sorry
that's
guys.
Interesting. That's all right. So yeah, as you can see, Sean has come into a bit of money. He has a pure mahogany backdrop.
Don't look at the creases, guys. Don't look at the creases.
As you all know, or as all like wood enthusiasts know, you do have to iron mahogany out just to sort of get the creases out. But sort of after a little while, it does sort of ease out, and so it's relatively new mahogany.
Indeed.
So yeah, today's product that I want to draw to your attention is the Apeks VX1 UV Mask. So this is, I don't think it's Apex's first ever mask. I think they made one years and years ago. I can't remember much about it, but I kind of remember there maybe was one, or maybe I'm just getting confused. But this is their first for a long time at least. And sorry, there's just a spider just kind of coming down. So the VX1. I know, you know when something just sort of catches your eye and you're like, oh hey buddy. Oh, he's going to land on my microphone.
Oh, well.
Anyway, he's completely out of shot. But, the Apeks VX1 mask, it really caught the world by storm. And there was this huge, like, sort of interest because they were bringing out 4 different versions. They were bringing out a standard sort of optical grade ultra clear glass version, and then a UV coated sort of version, both in black and white. And the ultra clear version that came out, it was so popular you couldn't. We just kept running out of stock on it. Everyone kept sort of wanting these masks for quite a few reasons. One, it's a really stylish mask, and it's frameless in design, so it kind of ticks all of the boxes. It comes with a really cool, I can't even think what you call it, like the EVA type sort of molded case to protect your mask instead of just the standard like cheap clear plastic boxes that most masks tend to come in. This is like a really nice like sort of fabric, sort of semi-rigid sort of material case, but it also comes with an optional neoprene sort of strap on the back, so you can swap out the silicone one if you want a neoprene one. Ticked all the boxes, people loved it, but what they also loved and they were sort of holding out for was the UV version. So like with a lot of masks nowadays, we're seeing UV tinted lenses which act a little bit like sunglasses. They cut out sort of HEV, so like UV light from sort of coming through the sunlight. So if you're on a tropical dive, you're on the surface, you get all that light sort of bouncing off the surface. It's bad for your skin because it's going to give you a sort of sunburn. Similar things is going to happen to your retina because that light is getting into your eyes. So they have this protective coating that cuts out certain wavelengths of light and basically protects your eyes. And that is finally available. They had some manufacturing issues trying to get it to bond with the silicone, but it seems that they fixed it. So they are available on our website. There's going to be a link down below. Yeah, it's definitely worth sort of checking out the VX1 UV mask. I did a video on the standard one. I'm sure that'll be, or if you search for it, it'll come up. The UV version is exactly the same. It's got that sort of UV coating on the lenses.
You did a product overview for it.
I did a product overview where I don't have it in my hand, but if you want to see me physically holding one, it's basically the same as the standard VX1, but with a tinted lens. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. That's quite high on my sort of Christmas list for when things go back to normal, because I need another mask, of course. I've got it is the worst. The worst place to work as a scuba diver is a scuba diving centre, because when all the new stuff comes in, you're like, oh, that's shiny. I like that. I could do with a new mask. I've only got like 6.
Yeah.
I can only use like one at a time. Yeah, I can imagine at like snowboarding centres and hiking stuff. You're like, oh, look at that coat. I need a new coat.
Yeah. I had, at one point, I had about borderline 12 pairs of walking boots. I've had about 3 coats. Yeah. And then also as well, like there's some stuff like working in retail, you know, you get the faulty goods.
Oh yeah.
In some companies that I work for, literally all you have to do is put it on a list and then throw it away, or you can keep it. So I had a load of faulty stuff as well. I was like, I'll fix that.
Yeah, it's popped a stitch. Oh, okay. Yeah. Fixed.
Days.
I'm not that precious.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Bad times.
I mean, that's one of the first things that I do whenever I buy something new, like a wetsuit or something, is I just go over all the stitching, and wherever it looks like it's going to pop a stitch, I just put another one in.
Yeah.
It's really not worth returning it. Anyway, moving on with the news. So this is a story with a happy ending. Just to let you know. So this is a
Am I going to have to make this 18? This video, Mark?
No, not that kind of happy ending. So this is a nurse from Australia. I think originally she was from Ukraine, and she went out last Monday, I think it was, on her first ever night dive, and she got separated from her group. Current kind of whipped her away, and she spent about 3 hours sort of on the surface all by herself.
Wow.
Just like at night in the dark, hoping to be found.
Oh, so that's horrible, mate.
So from what I've read, she was rescued after 3 hours. Good. But from what I've read and sort of how I understand it, they her first ever night dive, she went out with a sort of a group of friends, and they sort of got out to their dive site. They then decided to descend, but she had a trouble descending. She couldn't get down. The rest of the group kind of sort of kept on going, didn't really notice that she was gone until a little bit later, and she sort of remained on the surface, and she was there by herself. What do I do? She had a torch, and that was it, and she was just there for 3 hours on the surface, just kind of shining this torch, just one, praying that someone would see it, and 2, that the battery wouldn't die. And yeah, luckily, about 2 hours later, a police officer was on the shoreline, I believe, looking for her, because I think her buddies had got out of the water and called emergency services. So everyone was kind of looking for her in the water. And a police officer saw her torch beam from the shore, called it in. About an hour later, the search and rescue team were kind of there. They found her, they collected her and got her out of the water.
That's lucky, mate. That is lucky.
is lucky. She says she will go scuba diving again, but it's going to take her a little while. But yeah, this really does reiterate the real need for like a DSMB. And just ways so that you can be seen at all times if you are on the surface, because if she didn't have a torch or if her battery did die, that's why I bring a backup torch just in case. A DSMB is far better than a torch, and if you kind of shine it into the DSMB, the whole thing kind of glows up, so it stands out at night. She says she's very, very grateful for all of her teammates. And everyone, the sort of emergency services who did sort of great work in spotting me and calling rescuers and eventually saving her life. Yeah, she said she used all sorts of like coping strategies and sort of crisis management from her training to kind of like, right, what do I have to survive? How can I sort of make my way out of this situation? And she was just holding onto that torch, just praying that the battery didn't run out.
Horrible, man.
Yes, that's it. So remember your training when you are sort of descending. Always descend with your buddy. Stay in eye contact so that this kind of situation never happens, especially on a night dive, because you can see their torch beam. And that's why it's always best to dive in buddy pairs and not in sort of big groups, because if you're in a big group and one person is missing, it doesn't really get noticed, but when there's just the two of you and one goes missing, it's really obvious.
Creepy, man. I'm just thinking, Mark, is there any way we can add, or scuba diving brands could add, like, you get the flex panel LEDs, make a DSMB of that, and then like you can connect it to like either your, like, I don't know, a dive computer or some sort of power source.
That would be quite cool.
You'll be able to be seen.
I mean, a lot of DSMBs. I don't think I've got one here. No, a lot of DSMBs, they'll have like a clear pouch sort of at the top of them. That's for a glow stick. So when you go to surface, you crack the stick, pop it in that, and then send the DSMB up, so that sort of physically glows. They'll have sort of grommets, sort of holes at the top that you can cable tie stuff to. And if you literally have an inflated DSMB and your torch, sometimes if you just kind of shine your torch directly into the DSMB, the whole thing lights up. So, yeah. But it is a good idea. An LED infused DSMB.
Like an arrow.
Yeah. You need to get onto the patent office quick.
Okay. I'll do that.
Another one that I saw yesterday. I forget who it was, but we were talking about the peregrine. Why can't I remember that name?
I don't know why you can't remember that name.
And we were saying how they all begin with a P, and someone's like, "Oh, is Shearwater going to bring out a cold water dive computer called the Penguin?" I was like, "Oh, I love it."
They'd have to make it black and white though, like because they normally put the blue trim on there. That'll have to be white.
That would be cool, with a little bow tie or something.
Because all penguins wear bow ties.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Or like the little sort of yellow flashes of, what is it, rock hopper or Gentoos.
Yeah, rock hopper. Yeah. Actually, talking about that, I did briefly look in the comments yesterday before I started work on doing the set, and there was it a pterodactyl? The Shearwater pterodactyl. I thought that was pretty good. I mean, I know it's not fish related or marine related, but still. Well, they might have gone fishing.
Peregrine isn't.
Yeah.
I think some.
Probably.
Yeah, I have a vague recollection of like reading a dinosaur book when I was like 6. And I think some pterodactyls were sort of fishing because they have the long sort of beaks, which are quite good for picking out fish. I can believe that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
You heard it here first. Shearwater, I know you're watching this. You and Dave are sat next door to each other. We want a pterodactyl and a penguin dive computer next, please. Thank you.
Yeah, just limited edition. I'd be cool with that. Only make like 100 or something.
Well, like the Iron Man
Oh, the Terek.
Yeah.
Yeah, red and gold. That was quite sexy.
That was. All right, calm down, Mark, and read the next story, the last story. Calm down.
Final news story comes from South Africa, and it's kind of a news story that we've covered before, but in a different area. Usually, when we talk about shark nets, it's normally to do with Australia. This is in South Africa. They have these they're meant as like protective barriers to try and keep sort of sharks away from their beaches, but of course they're catching more sharks than anything else, and they're actually catching like other things, obviously from turtles and other marine life. And sort of marine charities and conservation sort of organisations are dubbing these curtains of death because they're giant nets underwater, so of course they're catching things. Yeah. I do have one big problem with this article, which I've already mentioned to Sean, is in the very first paragraph. It's basically a news story all about sort of how bad like shark nets are, and why we should sort of find an alternative to. And the very first paragraph is, sharks have gained something of a bad rap in the 20th century. So, okay, you're off to a good start, heading down the right road, comma. Thanks in no small part to their blank stares and jaws lined with razor-sharp teeth, but also Hollywood films like Steven Spielberg's 1975 Jaws. So you've just undone everything that you just done. It's like, yeah, sharks have had it really rough, but you know, they are pretty scary, and they do have these like nasty teeth. Like, what are you doing?
And they will kill you. They're attracted to you. You're gonna die. You see a shark, you're gonna die.
I mean, they do go on to say how sort of, if you actually look at the data and the statistics, it's really not that sort of dangerous. Sharks really don't go after us. But yeah, they say bees, wasps and snakes are responsible for far more fatalities each year than sharks. Apparently in the United States, deaths occur up to 30 times more from lightning strikes per year than shark attacks.
Well, then we need to have lightning nets in the sky that stop.
So yeah, in the Struth, South African named province on the eastern coast of South Africa. I'll try it. It's the KwaZulu-Natal province on the eastern coast of South Africa. Nets are designed to protect swimmers, but realistically all they actually do is trap and suffocate at least 400 sharks a year, and that's just the sharks. They also catch sea turtles, whales, dolphins, dugongs, all sorts of stuff. So we really do need to find a suitable alternative to this. The charity went on to say about 50 of these sharks were actually protected species, which include the great white and hammerhead sharks. Wow. So it is just a bonkers sort of system. I get their logic in, we'll just create this physical barrier, sharks won't be able to get through it, but they never seem to understand that they get stuck in it and then they end up dying. And these aren't fishing nets where people are like pulling it in and checking it regularly. They just kind of put in. So we do need to come up with an alternative. Again, I'm going to mention it, I've mentioned it hundreds of times on the channels, is the magnetic sort of chains, where you put it in, you cement it down into the ground. It's a chain with a buoy at the top, and all the way sort of on it has these sort of fairly powerful magnets, and that sort of puts off the sharks because it sends off their electric sort of receivers. So they don't like it. They don't like to pass through it, but everything else can. A turtle can swim through it. A boat can sort of pass through it. There's no sort of obstruction. There's nothing to physically entangle things. So hopefully, eventually, they'll sort of go rush that through their testing, and hopefully that will help replace these shark nets, because we really don't need them. It's just one of those things that they just sort of keep drumming on as, oh no, we want to avoid sharks getting into these areas, even though it's their territory. We want to stop them coming in. We'll use a net. It's daft.
What was that one?
Anyway,
the kelp one was quite good. Was it electronic pulse or something? So again, it was very similar to the chain. But it was kelp, and then that stopped sharks as well. But then, other things can use the kelp to live or whatever, or to use.
Yeah, that's it. They don't like sort of swimming through it. So, just create a barrier, a fairly natural barrier. I mean, granted, it has to be a suitable area for the kelp, but
just stick it in, right?
You will grow here. You're here to protect us.
Yes.
I don't know. We'll figure it out one day, but unfortunately, until that day, apparently lots of sharks are going to die.
Great.
It's the wonderful world that we live in, just so that some people can go swimming. Anyway, that's it. If you have any ideas on how to sort of prevent sharks, then sort of let us know down in the comments below. If you have any questions, by all means, pop them down in the comments below. If you could add, I don't know, what do you want, like hashtag Q&A Friday or something, just so it makes it a little bit easier for us to find them.
Yeah, do that, Q&A. Or hashtag AskMark.
That'll do it. Hashtag AskMark. And that just makes it a little bit easier for us to find them. So just put your question and then hashtag AskMark, just so that we can find it a little bit easier, and your answer will be more likely to be sort of answered. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget that you can always listen to us as a podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. I tend to listen to it on Shopify, not Shopify, Spotify.
You probably
They're two very different websites.
Yeah. Did you know that you can actually upload we can upload podcasts to our Teesprings?
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
You have to pay for it. Like, we can upload it, but if someone wants to listen to it, they have to pay for it. It's just like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
It's all free.
Bonkers. Yeah. If you're interested in the Apeks VX1 UV Mask, then there'll be a link sort of down below in the description, or just Google it. Will pop up. Don't forget to head over to simplyscuba.com. Check out our new sort of homepage. If you do see any sort of errors or spelling mistakes or links that don't work, by all means, sort of let us know down in the comments below, and we'll forward that to the dev team. They love it when we point out their errors. And
we're just new here, Mark. Are you sure you want to be poking the bear that soon? It's not like they have.
What could possibly go wrong?
All right. Oh dear.
No.
Dev team, if you're watching this, along with Dave Bautista and who else was the other guy, the other person watching this?
Shearwater.
I have no involvement in that. That's all Mark. All Mark.
Yeah, you do.
Whichever side he is.
You're the chief editor. I'm just a digital content producer. If you do spot anything, then please let us know, because we have other things to do, and it's sort of much nicer if you spot a spelling mistake. I do it with suppliers. If I'm sort of reading through a product description, I see a spelling mistake. I
love it.
Hey, you might want to sort of correct that.
What they do though, they've got an auto thing for their email, and your email goes straight to junk.
No, it says I forwarded this message to the dev team, and they'll get it fixed as soon as possible.
Bin.
Anyway, that's it for today's show. If you have seen any sort of updates to any of these stories, then by all means sort of let us know down in the comments below. If you have any interesting news stories, sort of breaking news, let us know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and of course, safe diving.
Yeah, man. Stay classy, scuba divers, and enjoy tomorrow's Sean show.
Yeah, it's just Sean tomorrow, so I'm sorry.